I was curious to kind of hear your take, as much as you were willing to share, regarding the Driscoll, John Lindell situation.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
You're friendly with both of these guys. I've met Driscoll a handful of times. Super sweet guy. Been nothing but gracious to me. I don't know John Lindell at all. What did you make of the entire debacle, and how are you processing?
Yeah, debacle would be a great way to frame it.
As someone that's friendly with both of them.
I mean, I appreciate James River. I look forward to preaching there in the future. So I'm friends with their pastoral staff. I'm also friends with Driscoll, and I was at the conference myself. I wasn't ministering, but I was there. And yeah, I mean, I think stuff like this, sometimes when it gets handled in an unfortunate manner, then you end up going viral for all the wrong reasons. And so, I appreciated the convo that Driscoll and Lindell had on stage together after, what I would call the initial incident where, they chopped it up. I felt like they modeled what it looks like to have disagreement without being disagreeable. They talked about the Matthew 18 protocol.
Yeah. Do you feel like Driscoll apologized in that moment, or was that not really an apology?
Not really. I mean, but I think at least he gave language to the Matthew 18. If your brother offends you, go to him in private.
Sure.
And I think Driscoll made, some verbal, concessions. I don't think it was like a repentance moment, but I think some verbal concessions of like, yeah, man, if I could go back in time, I recognize that I probably should have pulled you aside. We chop it up privately. If I had a super strong conviction about that, then maybe I just say, hey, I don't feel comfortable speaking at the conference, whatever. If it was handled this way, you and I wouldn't even know about it. We wouldn't even be talking about it. It would just be like, oh, yeah, dude, we had this conference speaker booked. Man, he wasn't able to make it, had a change in plans, but we got this dude, he's up here preaching. Like, nobody would have even known.
Russell B. Johnson would have took Driscoll's spot.
Russell B. Johnson, man, I would have lit it up. I would have said, let me call out a false heretic, Ruslan. If you're watching, I'm coming for you. No. But yeah, to me, it was like, you know what I mean? It was like, it wasn't so much what happened. It's like, how what happened.
Yes.
Because to me, I'm like, bro, all the time, look, man, if I got an issue with you, and I'm going to take something with you, whatever, like, I know you. I got your number. I'll text you. I'll call you. I'll pull you aside. It's not like we've been best friends for 20 years, but just kind of the commonality, the
There's
fellowship.
Enough rapport there,
bros. I'll be like, man, if I saw something or felt like you was like crazy, dumb, or wrong on something, I had no problem sending you a voice memo. Hey, bro, what are you doing, man? Help me understand. Like, dude, what's going on?
Sure.
And so to me, I wish it was handled differently, because the reality is all this does is give fodder to the people who already hate the church, already are anti-Christ, anti-church community, anti-conservative, whatever it is, just to have more ammo to take shots at, like you said, these broad-based generalizations. Well, everybody's like this, and everybody does. And I'm actually like, no, actually, this was just a private conflict that unfortunately got made public that now all of us get implicated in, because now it's something that's like literally going viral in the Christian community. And so, I think...
You think John putting those text messages on the screen was a good look, though?
I mean, I think, with the way that things went down, he felt like he really needed to, publicly respond, because this whole situation got so out of control, viral. I mean, they had to shut down the church. They're getting death threats. The National Assembly of God offices is in Springfield. They had to shut down their offices. They're getting death threats. I mean, this was no like... hey, you had a bad moment. You accidentally said a cuss word on the podcast. Let's cancel Ruslan. Like, it's like, yo, people showing up at your house like, we're going to kill you.
Yeah.
And so I feel like he needed to provide some context for going, hey, like, the way things appear are not actually the way that things are happening behind the scenes.
Sure.
And especially when it involves the man's own flesh and blood. I feel like he just, again, I'm not trying to take sides either or. I've talked with both of them since it. For me, I'm like, yo, not my circus, not my monkeys. Like, y'all figure it out. Y'all do whatever.
Okay, but calling Driscoll to repentance, like we just talked about a time and a place to call people to repentance.
Yeah.
Dr. Michael Brown calling Benny Hinn to repentance. Mike Wayne
Sure.
calling. Those are sounds like words that you would reserve for like coloring outside the lines. This dude is out of control. Call public repentance, right?
I mean, I think I would do that for mark and avoid.
Mark and avoid. Okay, fair enough.
Do you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Whereas this, a call to repentance would be like, if I came in and you was smoking weed and drunk on the podcast, I'd be like, bro, what are you doing, man? Like, And I still wouldn't do it publicly, you know?
I mean, unless I perpetuated and I kept it wild.
Right. Or like every time you invited me on, you're blazed.
Yeah,
and I'd be like, bro, listen, what are we even doing here, bro? Like, this don't make sense. You know, and I feel like...
So that you're saying maybe that was a bit too much on his part?
No, not necessarily. I just feel like for him, he was trying to follow his protocol from what he understood Matthew 18 to be, which is you go to somebody in private.
Bring a witness.
If that's not resolved, you bring a witness. If that's not resolved, you go before the church. Now, again, how it's handled, PR, the devil's in the details, the context, you know, those types of things. You know, I mean, my whole wish is that this whole thing would have been entirely avoided by private conversations happening off stage. I think, unfortunately, it created a snowball effect. And you know, but here's what's funny, dude. In our world, our 24/7 like news breaking world, it's like controversies have such a shorter half-life than they did even like a decade ago. Because things go viral. And it's like, bro, before you even know you made a mistake, Twitter knows. And half the world, and you gone viral, and it's like, yo, wait, what just happened? You know, somebody sent me a message last night. The Antifa made posters with my face on it. They're all upset at me for being pro-Israel, you know, and I'm like, I'm going viral even amongst my enemies. It's crazy, you know. So to me, it's like, you know, like in the next 3 weeks, it's gonna be something else. And,
it's just it's almost like, I don't know if it's the year, the climate that we're in, but like I would have never in a million years thought I would see something like this publicly. But then I also, in a million years, would have never thought that Kendrick and Drake would be saying the sort of things they're saying about each other publicly.
See,
it's just like a weird...
That's how I'm going to rebuke other pastors.
You drop some bars?
Drop some battle raps, bro.
I mean...
Diss tracks, bro.
Man, airing out text messages is pretty... It's up there, you know, talking about each other's family. Like, it was pretty wild. So anyway, at this point, I guess I'm just saying none of it surprises me anymore. You know what I mean? But it does seem to be like there's something in the zeitgeist where, to your point, yes, shorter shelf life, bigger
bang, but shorter life.
Shelf life.
Yeah.
We see, according to the Bible, that prayer is extremely important in terms of us being transformed from the inside out when we get aligned with God's will. For the Christians watching this channel, I want you guys to implement these spiritual disciplines in your day-to-day life. And the only way I've been able to do this consistently is through writing down my prayers in a prayer journal that does a few things. One, it allows me to reflect and come to God humbly and ask Him to move on my behalf. And two, it allows me to document my prayers, which ultimately help me remember the very things that I was praying for and see the hand of God tangibly in my life when He answers them. So I would urge you, consider writing down your prayers. It could be in a blank notebook. It could even be on your phone. Or you could check out the one I personally designed and used from my own quiet time and spiritual discipline that I think will be a huge blessing. It's the exact structure and system that I've used for years to pray and be more consistent in my spiritual disciplines. You can pick yours up today by clicking the link in the pinned comment below. All right, I'll see you over there. Peace.